Now, President Trump on Twitter had denied some claims that he had made inappropriate promises to a foreign leader in a phone call. Now, recently it was reported by the Washington Post that a whistleblower complaint was filed against the president last month, in which Acting Director of National Intelligence Joseph McGuire refuses to share with the House Intelligence Committee like he's supposed to. Now, the Washington Post cited about two former U.S. officials who say that this complaint was prompted by this phone call. So now Donald Trump responded to this in about the way you'd expect him to. He tweeted, quote, "Another fake news story out there. It never ends." I know I'm using like the wrong Trump voice because he's actually much, much softer than that. It's almost like a silky jazz smoothness to his voice. Another fake news story. Never ends. Virtually anytime I speak on the phone to a foreign leader, I understand there may be many people listening from various U.S. agencies, not to mention those from the other country itself. No problem. No problem. No, that is a problem. Now, recently we found out that the Israelis were spying on Donald Trump. I, I mean, they were setting up like things that would fool his cell phone into connecting to him, like fake cell towers. I mean, crazy devices, right? Uh, and that would, of course, intercept the content of people's phone calls, and that's how the Israelis would get a leg up on talking about policy with Washington, with people from the United States, that they would know things that they shouldn't actually know. And so, but of course, President Trump didn't care about that because it doesn't care about security because, oh, it's so inconvenient to him, right? Very, very inconvenient. Uh, but he continues, knowing all this, is anybody dumb enough to believe that I would say something inappropriate with a foreign leader while on such a potentially heavy populated call? I would only do what is right anyway, and only do good for the USA. Wow. Is anybody dumb enough to believe that I would say something inappropriate? No, no. Everybody out there believes he's the one that's dumb enough to do it. I mean, again, he has released, he's tweeted classified pictures from U.S. spy satellites. Right on Twitter. Remember when he was playing, he took pictures of the guy with the nuclear football at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, that was forever ago. Doesn't care. You're not supposed to let people know who's got the nuclear football. That is a huge security concern. No, got pictures of him sitting at Mar-a-Lago. Having open discussions with staff members at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, seriously, he is not a smart person. He also uses an insecure cell phone to make calls. Constantly leaks to his buddies. And, of course, probably the press. He's not a smart person. He's not a person that cares about security, and he's not very stable. He's not a very stable genius. And in fact, look, he is far worse for national security than Hillary Clinton and her private server ever was. And let's be honest about that. Okay. So, of course, naturally, after he tweets something this incredibly stupid, there were responses. One of them, Brittany, said this: turns out no one believes you. Just release the whistleblower statement then, which would be nice. But right now, they refuse to do so. In fact, the New York Times reported that the internal watchdog for American spy agencies has declined repeatedly to disclose to lawmakers the content of that whistleblower complaint, which they are supposed to tell Congress. Michael Atkinson, Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, told lawmakers that he was unable during a hearing, and this was a closed, classified hearing, right? He told lawmakers that he was unable to confirm or deny anything about the substance of the complaint, including whether it involved the president himself. You're kidding me, right? No, not at all. Stu Cameron, back to Twitter. He said, but you say plenty of inappropriate things when everyone's watching. How can you believe How can we believe you wouldn't be worse when speaking in relative privacy? You wouldn't be worried what staffers think anyway. He's got a point. He's got a point. Janet Johnson pointed out that he did not know who Stormy Daniels was. That's an interesting response there. Facts Do Matter also said, if you said nothing inappropriate, then there's no reason to order Barr to break the law and keep it from Congress. Tell him to hand it over. Problem solved. Unless you're lying again. Look, Trump lies all the time, even about stuff that he doesn't need to lie about. But let me go to the complaint here, right? Now, again, under the law, the complaint has to concern the existence of an intelligence activity that violates the law, rules or regulations, or otherwise amounts to mismanagement, waste, abuse, or a danger to public safety. Now, the conversation itself, not a problem. But there's something in that complaint that was so worrisome, and it has to fall under those guidelines of being disturbing or possibly violating the law to get them to file it. So now experts also keep mentioning that the president has broad authority to declassify intelligence secrets, order the intelligence community to act and otherwise direct the conduct of foreign policy as he sees fit. But there is something in there, like I said, that worried people so much. What was it to the Saudis? I don't know. I mean, he did openly say, hey, man, if the Saudis paid us, then we totally invade Iran. Yikes. And then before he, I think, walked it back, or it could be Putin. It could be anybody. It could be anybody that he's made some sort of promise to. And that has got the intelligence community incredibly concerned. So, and finally, Trump, he said this. This is a case of presidential harassment. So that's the thing he goes back to, right? No, it is potential security concern. Giving intelligence or promising something to the leader of a foreign country, we don't know who it is, but it was enough to worry people. And so this should be very, very concerning. National security. We have an idiot in charge, who I think, in my opinion, based on what I know, I think he's more than happy to sell the country for personal political gain. Now, maybe you don't believe that. Maybe you don't know. But for me, I think that is probably the case. And if so, we should be incredibly concerned and get to see what's inside of that complaint. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.